Board will come to order, and we'd like to welcome everyone, and I'd like to start off by introducing our staff and members. To my left over here is Crystal Wade and Glenn Rowe. Our administrator is Don Gill and Hunter Sled, John Norton, Martha Little, and Andy Ransom, and I'm Edna Revere. And
just in case.
With that said, I'd like to call out our first applicant, Bright Waters. Someone here representing them, please.
Yes, ma'am. Joseph Scott, Solterra Solutions, Kilmarnock, Virginia 22482.
Okay,
I'm the agent for the applicant.
I'd like to read the ad. Brightwater property owners are in care of Solterra. Is that how you say it, Joy?
Yeah, close enough.
They're requesting to install 24 linear feet of riprap revetment against the bulkhead along the shoreline of Windmill Point Creek, located off Virginia State Highway 695, Windmill Point Road, on Brightwaters Drive, tax map number 40-14M, VMRC number 24-2412. Go ahead, Mr. Scott.
All right. I'm assuming you got revisions and you have pictures from the site that I sent through. If you don't, I've got a copy if you need them.
They've got them.
Okay, cool. Because I know got some and didn't get the others, but so this project is one that I bought before you guys quite a while back, where they replaced the bulkhead. The bulkhead there runs into an existing concrete bulkhead that has riprap in front of it, and when they did the project, they didn't tie it in. They needed a way to tie it in, so this riprap is going to actually connect to the existing riprap and run in front of a portion of the new bulkhead or the replacement bulkhead, so that it will actually be tied in properly to the existing one. We're here because when I originally staked it, there was no sand there. It was all subaqueous. You probably can see from the pictures that has changed significantly over the last 2 months. So by the time that it came to needing a permit and it was reviewed, the sand had accumulated there, so now we don't need a VMRC permit, I need a wetlands permit. So, but pretty straightforward, just to tie it into the existing structures that are there so that there's not a little breach there between the two structures. I guess if you have any questions for me. I'm done unless you got any questions for me.
You have anything?
No, ma'am. Madam Chairman, I would just like to state that Olivia Hall, who usually sits in this seat, couldn't be with us today, but she is online.
Okay.
If you all have any questions for her as well, and she's prepared to jump in and speak, but staff has no comment, no further comment on this.
Do you have anything, Kadisha?
VMRC has no comment.
How about board members?
Yep.
Well, if,
Public comment?
what's that?
Public comment?
Public comment, I'm getting there.
I just hate for
Thank you, though,
that's like
George.
a worst nightmare for me, is like for you to forget
Thank
that and
you.
someone to appeal it
Thank
because
you.
it was never open to public comment. That's just more work for me.
Be straight. Okay, is there anyone in the audience that would like to speak to this? Well, if not, I'll entertain a motion on this.
I move that we approve as submitted.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor, signify by raising your right hand. Okay, thank you.
Thanks.
Wait just a minute, give me. Let's see here. The next on the, now how do you pronounce this gentleman's last name?
Klavasic.
Okay, are you, no, it's Rogers.
Good morning. Roger McKinley, 691 Mill Point Drive, Eastville, Virginia, 22473, to represent Andre.
Okay, I'd like to read the ad. They're requesting permission to install two 44-foot on-a-stone breakwaters for a total of 88 feet. Excuse me. Whew, of sill and 102 cubic yards of sand along a failing bulkhead located off Fleets Bay. Excuse me just a minute. Goodness. Located on Fleets Bay, located off Tammy Drive, which is off Virginia State Highway 645 Dungeon Thicket Road, on Wayne Circle, tax map number 35G-1-20C, VMRC number 24-2558. Go ahead.
Yes, we submitted this application back in October when conditions were a little bit different than they are now. At that point, we had a failing but standing bulkhead. That's no longer the case, and I've sent several sets of photos to Olivia and trying to keep her up to date. She's been on the property and sent me photos of the time that she was there. But anyway, we are also in conversation now with the upstream landowner, Ms. Cavallo, and I believe that we'll be submitting an application for something similar for her property. She owns 2 lots, but Andre only owns 1. But anyway, everything that we're proposing is channelward of mean low water, and I sent photos to Olivia confirming the mean low water at 7:03 a.m. the last time that we went down there. So anyway, if you all have any questions, I'd be glad to do the best I can to answer. And Don, she had requested a couple of things by email, and I put those on her desk this morning. I put them right there.
Okay.
The
I think, yeah.
WQIA, I think was it.
Okay. You got it,
Who's
Madam
this?
Chairwoman, may I ask a question? It's Olivia.
That's Olivia.
Okay.
Yeah, she wants to make a comment, I think.
Okay, go ahead, Olivia.
Roger, I have a question for you. It looks like in the picture I sent you that your staking is in the Wetlands Board jurisdiction and not below mean low water where it ties back into that bulkhead. Is that the case?
No. The northeast corner is still channelward of mean low tide. The bulkhead has basically disappeared, but all those stakes are down at mean low water, which is reflected in the last pictures that I sent you.
Then how do we explain those PVC pipes sticking out of sand with no water there in that picture I sent you?
I mean, is the question whether the project is in your jurisdiction or not? Is that the question?
No, the question is where you're putting the rock, because you're saying that you're putting it below mean low water, but when I look at the staking in the field, it looks like it's going in the Wetlands Board jurisdiction between mean low and mean high.
Okay, I see what you're saying. And as it turns out, when we tie in with the next door neighbor's project, we're going to eliminate a portion of that curve and continue the proposed revetment straight across right at mean low water. So that'll actually be, that portion will be eliminated from this project. But I hear what you're saying, and yes, it is.
Okay, I think if we're going to make a motion to approve this, can we include that riprap be below mean low water
Yes,
in the motion?
yes,
Okay.
we can.
Thank you, that's no further comment.
Okay, thank you, Olivia.
And I do have the WQIA in my hand, Olivia. So,
Thank you.
yeah.
Do you have anything else? Did you want to say anything else?
No, I would follow Olivia's suggestion that.
Okay, because I was going to check. Kadisha, do you have any?
I have no comment.
Is there anyone on the board that wishes to make comment to this?
Yes, Roger, I have just a brief question. How did you determine the gap between the two new breakwaters? You noted here on the map as 10 feet. Is that enough of a gap to accumulate the sand that you want to backfill in that area?
Yeah, well, we want to give these folks, I don't know if you've been to the property or not and seen all the kayaks and paddle boards and all, we want to give them access, you know, to be able to get through the breakwaters. And plus, it's required, you know, by VMRC to have a gap. And 10 feet seemed adequate, so that's what we chose. Now, when we get ready to do the project for the next door neighbor, we'll continue from where the 10-foot gap is, straight across at mean low tide for 100 feet. Then we'll have another gap at that point, because the next door neighbor owns 2 lots. So it'll go 100, then there'll be a gap, and then there'll be an additional piece to tie back in to something substantial.
Thank you.
The next door neighbor has really lost a lot, but this project, where the bulkhead was, over next to the existing riprap that extends out to the pier, we have a huge defect in there now that wasn't there before. We had a really nice existing vegetated buffer that was on the landward side of this, and some of that has now fallen in and been covered up, so we really need to do something here fairly quickly.
Anyone else on the board? Is Olivia still on?
She's on.
Yes, I'd like to say one more thing. Actually, I have a question for Khadijah.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. Just thinking about what Roger and I were just discussing, if we say that rock is going to be below mean low water, it technically wouldn't need a Wetlands Board permit. So should we just go ahead and permit it without a condition so that we're covered either way in case that neighbor backs out?
So you would be permitting based off of the drawings that are impacting wetlands?
Yes.
Is
Okay,
that,
so then I think we should
That
probably do it
sounds like
without
what she's
condition, is that correct?
Yeah, that's, in case nothing happens next door, then we're still covered. We've had a public hearing for just that portion.
Olivia, do you have any concerns in reference to approval of this application?
I don't. I think the work clearly needs to be done. The erosion there is pretty alarming. So I'm I think we can go ahead and proceed if that's the will of the board. And we'll, as Khadijah said, just approve it without condition as it's drawn. And then he can be covered either way. If he needs to submit a revision to VMRC where they're going to change that bit and tie in with the neighbor, then it'll be on VMRC for that permit. So I think we'll go ahead and permit it if it's your will without condition.
And we'll, I mean, at this point, we can only act on what we have before us because we don't know what will come forth with the neighbor or et cetera. So, I agree, we need to, act on what we have before us. Is there any further discussion? Is there any comments from the audience? No one have any more comments? Okay, I'll entertain a motion.
I move that the board approves the plan as submitted.
I'll second.
Okay, all in favor, signify by raising your right hand. I can't see. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. The next on the agenda is Naomi Myrick.
Yes, ma'am. Joseph Scott, Solterra Solutions, PO Box 1744, Kilmarnock, Virginia 22482. I'm the agent for the applicant.
Like to read. Like to read. Like to read the ad of Naomi Myrick, care of Solterra. They requesting permission to install 20 linear feet of riprap or revetment against the eroding bank along the eroded shoreline of Carter's Creek, located off Virginia State Highway 757, St. Andrews Lane, on Golf Course Drive, tax map number 27B-2-3, VMRC number 24-2613. Go ahead.
So, did Olivia give you the pictures that I sent for this site? If not, I've got a few. Okay. I got 4 on the back. It's the same picture on both sides, it's just the way that it printed, and I just didn't print it again, because it's just this one picture. There's a picture on both sides with the same picture, it's a site. Ms. Merrick is tucked up in the part of Carter's Creek there. It has a ton of canopy cover. Actually, I really like the way that her property is set up there because she has some good canopy, and then her whole entire bank is covered with mountain laurels and stuff like that, so she's got a great, riparian buffer already existing. They have a small revetment at the base, and then there's a little portion of it, which is the portion we're trying to get a permit for today for 20 feet, that just keeps washing. I mean, even with all of the things that they have in place. It's not a horrible amount of erosion, but it's also not going to be a big amount of stone that's going to go in there. Around that corner, it kind of tucks up into a little marsh, a pocket marsh that comes off of that ravine. And I think the biggest issue that she's had here is just the coverage. Nothing's kind of growing there because there's all sorts of trees and stuff surrounding there. So she just wants to put 20 feet more and tuck it up into that pocket marsh up against the bank. And that should pretty much secure the entire property at that point because there's no other problems any further up than that. Like I said, living shoreline here would require cutting trees down and getting sunlight in there, and I mean, she just has a great setup the way that it is, so I think just a small amount of revetment at the base would be fine. They're going to have to wheelbarrow it down that hill and put it in by hand. It's not gonna be fun, but. And the picture, since you guys didn't get to the site, that's why I bought the picture, so you could actually see.
Yeah.
No, that's it.
John, do you have any comments to this?
No, staff has no further comment on this.
Kadisha?
VMRC has no comment.
Anyone in the audience would like to speak to this? Anyone on the board? If not, I'll entertain a motion.
Move that we approve as submitted.
Okay. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Okay. Is it all in favor, signify by raising your hand. Okay, thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thanks, sir.
Okay, the next on the agenda is that of Paul and Tiffany Stefanski. Someone here represent Paul. Okay, go ahead.
Good morning, Craig Palabinski with Bay Shore Design. Okay, thank you. 8518 Copel Highway, Hague, Virginia 22469. I'm the agent representing this request.
Okay, I'd like to read the ad. They're requesting permission to install 355 linear feet of armor stone revetment and 2 armor stone breakwaters, 60 feet and 70 feet, with 350 cubic yards of beach nourishment and 2,000 square feet of vegetated plantings along the shoreline of the Rappahannock River, located off Sunset Drive, which is off Virginia State Highway 222, Weems Road, on Sandy Drive, tax map number 33-41A, VMRC number 24-2695. Go ahead.
Okay, what we have here is a southeast facing shoreline of Rappahannock River in the village of Weems. Very severely eroding bank, about 11 to 12 feet in height from the mean low water elevation. There is some old structure out there. Concrete rubble revetment was installed on the upriver side portion of the property, and then there's also about a 60-foot riprap sill with some wetlands vegetation pretty much in the center of the property. The bank is severely eroded, pretty much a straight shear for the most part. And so there's a couple parts to this project. First is we're going to remove all the existing concrete rubble. There's also some old pilings. I'm assuming there was a bulkhead there at one time. All that's going to be cleaned out, and the bank is going to be graded back. And we're going to install a Class 2 and 3 armor stone revetment coming up about plus 8 feet from the mean low water elevation, averaging about 3 to 3.5 tons per foot. The revetment is going to tie into an existing armor stone revetment on the western edge of the property as well as on the east side. Now, the next 2 portions of the project, bank is also going to be graded back at about a 4-to-1 slope and landscape. Now, where we have the existing riprap sill, that's relatively low. It's only about maybe a foot above high tide at best. We're going to top dress that with armor stone to create a 60-foot armor stone breakwater. The breakwater will be plus 4 feet in elevation. The wetlands vegetation that's there behind it will remain. There's some pockets where some beach nourishment will be added and resprigged with wetlands vegetation. 40 feet to the east of that, we're proposing a new 70-foot armor stone breakwater and adding about 350 cubic yards of beach nourishment and planting that with 2,000 square feet of wetlands vegetation, primarily Spartina patens and alterniflora. There is some sand buildup in that section of the shoreline. There's a couple fallen trees, so there is a good bit of sand movement in there. We want to try to create a pocket beach and living shoreline there to help preserve that bank in conjunction with the proposed revetment. That's pretty much the overview of the project. We've notified the adjacent property owners. We have not received any negative comments from them, and is currently under review from the Marine Resources Commission and Army Corps of Engineers. I'll be happy to answer any questions.
John, do you have any comments?
No, staff has no further comment on this one as well.
Khadijah,
VMIC has no comment.
open to the public. Any comments in the audience? Any comments from the board? If there's is there no one online that wishes to speak? So with that said, I'll entertain a motion.
I move that the project gets approved as submitted.
Second, please.
Second.
Approved and second, all in favor signify by raising your right hand. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next on the agenda is Ann Flint Thomas Carter, trust and trustee. Is someone here represent, okay.
Yes, ma'am. Joseph Scott, Solterra Solutions, P.O. Box 1744, Kilmarnock, Virginia 22482. Agent for the applicant.
I'd like to read the ad. They were requesting permission to install 200 linear feet of riprap revetment against the eroding shoreline of the western branch Curtoman River, located off Browns Lane, which is off Virginia State Highway 611, Hoe Cake Road on Thomas Road, tax map number 21-32, VMRC number 24-2841.
Yes, so I just gave you some site pictures since, again, we couldn't get out to the site on Tuesday. This is a section of very tall bank. It's in between two little areas of ravines, and it has pretty significant damage, as you can see from the pictures. Really kind of rule out any sort of natural approach. Well, I wouldn't say natural, living shoreline approach, because of the amount of grading, tree removal that would be required here. So all they're going to try to do is get all of those trees off of the shore and then just put a revetment at the base of it. It's a fair amount of fetch at this particular site. And this issue has been going on for quite some time. Some of the places are eroded, 7 or 8 feet up. So, but it's a very flat bank, and the options are pretty limited other than, grading that entire bank back, pulling all of those trees off of it and building some sort of breakwater structure, which would actually be a problem because there's SAV that's been mapped off-site. So we would run into that issue if we were trying to do that. So, so this is what we propose. Each end of it will just wrap into the elevation of the land drops on both sides of it, so it's just going to wrap around and right into that. Yep, if you got any
John?
questions for me?
No, county has no further comment on this.
Khadijah?
VMIC has no comment.
Anyone in the audience? Anyone on the board?
Joey, I'm just curious about, because I see a clay layer on the base of that bank. Will the riprap go beyond and above that layer? Because it will continue to slide on the clay.
Yeah, so, no, the revetment is just going to go up the bank, I'm looking through here, whatever it is on the drawings there. I believe it's
4 feet.
4 feet, yeah. Just because at some point it becomes a budgetary issue, because the bank is clay. I mean, grading it would not have been fun either. So, I mean, it's going to be a complete wedge of rock, which is going to be a lot of rock. So we're just trying to bring it up high enough to keep the tidal action off the base of it. And then the stuff across the top, as a contractor explained it to me, like trees that have fallen or trees that are getting ready to fall in, they're gonna try to remove that, take the weight off of it, so it doesn't really cause any more issues from that. And then kind of let it go with that. Because the other option is, like I said, spending, but this will be expensive enough, I'm sure, so, with the amount of stone that would be needed, so. So that's, the plan is to do that, take the weight off the top of the bank, put the stone at the bottom, protect it.
Thank you.
Any further comments? If not, I'll entertain a motion.
I move that we approve as submitted.
I'll second.
It's been approved and second, and all in favor? Okay, thank you. The next on the agenda is that of Frederick H. Garbus Jr.
That is mine as well, Joseph Scott, Salterra Solutions, P.O. Box 1744, Kilmarnock, Virginia 22482. Pictures worth 1,000 words.
Thank you.
VMRC engineer once said, 1,000 pictures are worth one second.
I had a judge one time say a picture was worth 10,000
Are you ready
words.
for me to go ahead with the ad?
Yes, ma'am, whenever you're ready.
Okay, they are requesting permission to install 65 linear feet of riprap revetment along the eroded bank, 107 feet of stone sill with 65 cubic yards of sand nourishment, 440 cubic feet of wetland vegetation plantings along the shoreline of the Currituck River, located off Virginia State Highway 604, Alderman Ferry Road on Oak Hill Road, tax map number 26J-1-6, BMRC number 24-2825. Go ahead, Joe.
Yes, ma'am. So this project is before you because it has two sections of revetment. If we didn't have those in there, it would have qualified for Group 2, and we wouldn't have had to have a public hearing. But on each side of this property is a tall bank with existing revetment. So those areas will actually be addressed by putting connecting into those revetments down to where the property, the elevation begins to drop. And then from there, what they're going to do is build a sill out in front of the marsh that is eroding away. And then next to the beach, we're going to build a gap sill so they can continue to have their access. Backfill that with sand, plant it with high marsh, patents, and make it a lot more usable and actually be able to protect it while having the access area. It's a nice, hard, sandy bottom. A great place to do what they want to do there. So biggest thing will be getting that huge stump out of there from the tree that fell over. Hey, I guess if you got any questions for
John?
me.
No, staff has no further comment.
Kadisha?
VMRC has no comment.
Anyone in the audience? Anyone on the board? No comments, no further comments? I'll entertain a motion, please.
I propose that we approve the plan as submitted.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and second. All in favor, signify by raising your right hand. Okay, thank you much.
Thanks.
The next on the agenda is Yankee Point Marina.
Good morning, Board. My name's Scott Woolard. I'm with Mack Brothers LLC. Address is 402 Lakeview Drive, Hartfield, Virginia.
Gosh, John, we don't have time to read all of this.
Thanks, sir.
Oh, can we get Olivia on?
Yeah, Olivia wants to make a comment
I want her to speak to this and let us know if she has found any concerning
Right.
the letter of objection.
Right. What,
How she feels and et cetera.
Right, there was one objection, for the audience's benefit, there was one objection to this application, and some supplemental material was just passed to the board members and to the applicant's agent regarding that objection. And Olivia, if you are available, the chairman has asked that you speak if you have any comments at this time.
Don, and thank you, Madam Chairwoman. We received 2 comments. It's technically 1 comment because it's the same person. He sent his original comment to VMRC that was included in your packet. And then this morning you were provided with his comment, which was submitted directly to my office. Despite that comment, we do not have any active violations for wetlands or Chesapeake Bay Act compliance at this site. So there are no violations at this site, and staff has no issue with you permitting this project. Thank you.
Oh. Trying to figure, there's so much, it's just to try to read it and absorb it.
I think perhaps, Madam Chairman, if, let the applicant's agent present their case, and I believe the person who objected is here as well, and maybe he could walk us through his objection during the public comment period.
Let him take.
Yeah, but I think first you need to allow the applicant's
Okay,
agent to
okay,
present the
that's
project.
what I mean, you know, we'll have him to speak to if he will.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Okay, what we have is, we have a defunct ramp that we would like to remove from there. The same footprint, 85 foot by 14 foot. Install a cofferdam, remove the water out of there, and remove the old ramp and put a new concrete ramp, 85 foot by 14 foot, with low-profile jetty on each side with no impact to wetlands. And that's basically it.
Madam Chairman, of course, the applicant can come back and speak, but I know that Mr. Knoll, if he would like to come up and maybe walk the board through what he presented, that may make it easier for you all to grasp what you're looking at,
Okay.
if he can kind of walk you through it.
Good morning. My name is Ken Null. I live at 135 Idlewood Lane, Lancaster, Virginia, 22503. I'm in the small bay towards the Coratoman River from where this site is proposed. I owned Yankee Point Marina for 22 years. I'm very familiar with the bottom contours in the area where the ramp was. My objection is threefold. First, the representation in the application is misleading. It's not a replacement. The ramp that has been there since 1960, as far as I know, or certainly for the 22 years that I owned the marina, was six 5 by 10 foot sections held together by channel steel, and it was therefore only 30 feet long. They say replacement. This is adding an additional 55 feet out into the waterway. This may or may not be a Wetlands Board question. When I asked Olivia, she said, well, they're responsible for both shoreline and into the water, so that's why I brought it to you. I've also gone to Khadija at VMRC and to Nancy Davis at Corps of Engineers, even though the Corps of Engineers has already approved it. They say that they can always go back and look at it with more information. If you look at, I'm sorry that you just got this today because it's an awful lot of paper to look at real quick. I sent this to Olivia on Monday. If you look at the last 2 pages of what you got this morning, the second to the last page shows the layout of the docks. Okay, the area that we're talking about is shown with haul out slip and then boat ramp. Slips G1 and B21 are on either side of the boat ramp. I point these out because on the last page, if you look at the document that we used to use to assign boats to slips based on their draft and their beam, B21, the depth was 6.5 feet. G1, the depth is 4 feet. So these are on either side. So I submit that the depth somewhere in between there, if you drew a line between, is going to be, 4 to 6.5 feet. The picture in the application shows this 1 foot thick, 85 foot long ramp, but it doesn't show anything about the bottom contour. So if you look, I included some pictures of, I agree, it's a defunct ramp. That ramp looks like it's been beat to hell. It was fine when we sold the property in May of 2 years ago. But if you look, I'm trying to find it here, in the application, oh, I know, that's where I am. You'll see that their ramp picture shows nothing of the bottom contour. Okay, and the bottom contour is key. This is the drawing I'm speaking of. So they show it going out, apparently hanging in air, or they hope you assume that the bottom slopes at that level. It does not. It drops off at the end of 30 feet to 4 to 6.5 feet. I know that because trailers used to go off the end all the time and their wheels would fall off the edge and then it was a pain in the neck to get them out. So they're gonna have to put in a huge amount of stone to fill up that 4 to 6.5 feet. And that's just at the end of 30 feet. All the way out to 85 feet, it's gonna be 8, 10 feet. That's a lot of volume of gravel they have to put in. In addition, they're gonna put low profile, and I don't know what that means, low profile vinyl, what do they call them? Vinyl jetty on either side. Does that low profile mean it's going to come up above the water line and just be low to the water line? If that's the case, they're blocking off from 4.5 to 6 feet to 8 to 10 feet. times 14 feet. They're putting in a wall that's going to cause a change in the flow of the stream. The flow of the stream is part of this issue. Okay? The stream, and I show that in my, in the drawing that you got this morning, the stream flows from North Meyer Creek right through that area. In fact, that stream was what kept our haul-out slip from filling in. We never had to dredge because the stream went straight through there at a considerable volume. They're going to block that off. Now, why do I care about that? I live in the bay just towards the Coratoman River, just south of that. There are 4 properties there. It's a shallow bay already. I have a property that has a lagoon that was built, dredged out in the 60s or sometime, and it's already less than 4 feet at mean low water. When they make this wall to change the flow of the Meyer Creek ebb and flow, it's going to change how sediment or sand or whatever is going to fill or not fill that bay. I submit that it's going to fill it. And that's going to cause all 4 of us to have to dredge in the future to be able to access our property. That, to me, is wrong. Now, again, I don't know if this is Wetlands Board's property or not, but last of all, I have been told that there's gravel already been put in there. Now, I just heard Olivia say there has been no violation. I would like to understand how they ascertained that. Did they go in, did they have a diver go down to check to see if there's stone in there? Or is this just based on somebody saying something? I can see, and you can see by the pictures that I submitted, that there's new gravel there at the water line, and in addition, there's steel plate. Those were not permitted, but it's there. In addition, there's an articulating ramp that goes up and down on the right-hand side towards where the lighthouse is, and that was never permitted. So I question how the county has come to the opinion that there's no violation. I would like that investigated. And I believe that people that make their living off the water should be the best stewards of the water. And I don't think this is good stewardship. I will add, I have no problem with the owner of the marina making money as much as he can. He's trying to get big catamarans to come in, and that's good. That's probably good for the county as well. But I submit there's a better location for this on the marina property. Just north of the bank where he showed the location of the site, there is the remains of an old railway, an old marine railway. It is a gentle slope, and it has no appreciable wetlands. They certainly could be handled with mitigation. And it is a historic marine railway. And that's where this ramp should go, not where he's putting it. What he's proposing is going to change the course of the waterway. That's all I have.
Ready for
I mean, if Olivia, I think you wanted to speak again as well. Is that correct?
Yes, that's correct. Thank you, Don. So I'll just answer his question in terms of there not being an active violation. How violations work would be someone would make a complaint while that a violation is occurring, have pictures, any type of evidence of that violation happening, we would investigate. If something happened historically and I don't have proof that that activity occurred, I don't know when that stone was put in place, I cannot pursue it as an active violation based solely upon the word of one person over another. Looking at that site and his further complaint about flow, that would be a question for VMRC. You're just permitting what's in the Wetlands Board jurisdiction today. and staff has no concerns with permitting that. Thank you.
Do you have any questions?
Oh, I was gonna ask the,
Yeah.
no, excuse me, sir, this gentleman. Would you like to speak, please?
Sure, I'd be happy to.
Good morning, everyone. Todd Patterson, the current owner of Yankee Point Marina, 1303 Oak Hill Road, Lancaster, Virginia, 22503. We have put in this application for this replacement ramp, one, as Mr. Null suggested, because we are looking to bring in additional business. The current ramp is not capable of doing it in a effective and efficient manner. But this ramp is also falling apart. We are the only publicly available ramp on the Corotoman River. We serve VMRC, we serve VDOT, we serve our local watermen, we serve countless tourists, and also we have many members of our Sheriff's Department who utilize that ramp. We are a vital part of the community. This ramp needs to be replaced. Yes, we are looking to make it longer. The current ramp, as Mr. Null said, has been in place since 1960. The average size of a boat in 1960 was probably about 15 feet. The average size of the boats is much larger now, as Mr. Null already mentioned as well. Trailers fall off the end of the existing ramp. The boats are bigger. Average size boat is 25 to 30 feet that's coming in on a trailer now. We need to do something. We need to extend it further. We are not proposing putting up massive walls and all the rest. The vinyl that is going to be put down there is simply to keep the ramp in place. It will be cut slightly above the ramp. But if I put up a big wall on this ramp, I won't be able to use it to haul catamarans. So this idea that I'm going to build this massive dam and change the entire tidal flow is not correct. It will probably stand, I'll let the engineers tell you exactly, but probably stand something like this above the top of the concrete. If it were taller, again, I couldn't haul these catamarans out. We are looking to go a little bit wider. Mr. Null owned the property for 22 years. He knows how many people are challenged by the width of the ramp. So let's make it wider. Let's make it a little easier for all those who are coming down here to this county to go fishing, or our local support staff. Let's make it easier for them to use that ramp. Let's make it a little bit wider. There's no reason for it to be as narrow as it is. As to the slopes, I've sounded that area. I don't believe that Mr. Null's depths are quite accurate. His statement that the haul-out pit does not fill in is also patently false. I'll be coming in front of this board at a later date to ask for permission to dredge it out so that we can actually have 8 feet that he suggested we had at the time of purchase. So I hope the board will approve this application. I do believe it is good for the community. Yes, it is good for Yankee Point, but I hope that our approach to being stewards in this community up to this point will show our commitment to being good stewards. We do work on the water. We do respect the water. The water is how we make our business. So we're not looking to do anything that would have a negative impact on the environment in any way, shape, or form. Any questions for me?
I'd just like to make a statement. I believe it was mentioned that the ramp would be larger. Well, it's been advertised to be the size that, wait a minute here, 14 by 85. It's also on the application showing that same drawing and measurements. So
Can you speak to
it
that?
is, as far as the replacing or whatever, you're covered because it's been advertised in the paper and it's also on the application. So I just want to clarify that so It couldn't be said you were building something off the footprint of the other.
Okay, thank you. Any questions for me?
What is the actual sounding depth below the proposed 60 feet? Mr. Knoll says it's 8.5 feet at the end of the ramp, proposed ramp, and you say it's certainly less than that now?
At the end of the ramp, it probably is close to 8 feet, yeah. The slope, the reason for going out as far as we are is that we don't want to be tide bound in our ability to haul boats at low tide or especially in the moon tides, wintertime. We have exceptionally low tides. So the majority of that, the depth, we're not talking about building it way up to, get to 6 feet. We need to be able, when the water goes down 3-4 feet, we need to be able to back in another 10 feet further, let's say, in order to get the draft that we need to haul these boats out. So if it's at 8 feet at the end of it right now, we have a 3-foot tide. It's only 5 feet. So the reason for making it as long as it is so that we are not tide bound.
And what will be the substrate underneath that 60-foot extension?
That's above my pay grade.
Okay.
That substrate would be gravel.
Okay. And how wide will that be to extend beyond the width of the ramp itself as a delta base?
Just to the end of the ramp.
What about the width on either side? Because it's
The
obviously
width, it's going to be a low-profile jetty on each side that's going to hold that ramp in together.
Oh, so the gravel will be contained by vinyl jetties?
Correct.
All the way out?
That's right.
Thank you.
I'd also like to state that our jurisdiction is from mean low water to mean high water 1.5 times. So below mean low water, we have no control or say of what can or can't be. Your state agency has to do that. So we can only approve our jurisdiction from mean low to mean high, 1.5 times. Anything below mean low is out of our jurisdiction. Anything above it, I'm sure the owner, I'm sure he's aware of what he can do with his own property. I just like to.
That's
say that
understood.
for the record.
That's understood. And there's no impact on wetlands.
And I'd also like to ask Olivia, if I may, if she feels that I'm correct in what I just said, and if she really sees any reason for not approving this application.
Madam Chairwoman, I completely agree with you. You are 100% correct, especially on your jurisdictional comments there. I see no reason to not approve this application for what's proposed in your jurisdiction. Thank you.
So in other words, are we all on the same page that we're only acting in our jurisdiction? We're not here to argue who can go how many feet out beyond mean low water. That comes into the state agency. They rule that. They're gonna tell you what you're gonna do. Army Corps is gonna tell you what they're gonna do. We don't have any comments about that. Yes.
Excuse me, Ken Knoll again, but you do have jurisdiction.
Would you come forward, please?
Sure. My question is, you do have jurisdiction between mean low water and mean high water times 1.5, is that correct?
Yes.
Well, the beginning of this ramp, or maybe the middle, a portion of this ramp is going to be between mean low water and mean high water times 1.5.
Well, that's what.
So you do have jurisdiction.
That is the point I just stated. We can make decisions from mean low to mean high 1.5 times. But anything above or below, we cannot.
I understand. But this does include that portion.
We're gonna take that into consideration when we
Thank you.
get ready to make a decision. Thank you.
Thank you.
John, do you have any?
No, I think Olivia has summed it up very well, and the county has no further comments.
Do you have any concerns that, you know,
No, I mean,
approving, what we're approving is the ramp itself?
you're approving the ramp in your jurisdiction, if that's what you all want to do.
That's what the point I'm making. We're only approving the ramp, not how far it goes out into the water or how far it goes up into land.
You are approving the
Just from
ramp within
mean
your
low to
jurisdiction.
mean high, 1.5 times.
Yes.
Now,
We're just approving a
Question with
portion
that
of the
se-
ramp.
You are approving the
Yeah.
portion of the ramp that
That's
is
the
within your
distinction here,
jurisdiction.
Not the whole ramp, just a portion of the ramp.
this is what I'm saying, between, you know, right, but as far as our jurisdiction,
I understand.
that's what I'm asking. Does anyone on the board feel, how's your feelings? in other words?
We're not approving anything beyond our jurisdiction that falls elsewhere.
Yes.
So this does not completely approve this
No.
project.
No.
Yeah.
We can only approve our part of this application and whatever. It's up to the other agencies to decide what their decision's gonna be. I couldn't tell you. Does anybody have any, do you have any?
VMRC has no comment.
And Don summed it up, and Olivia summed it up. So, with that said,
I move to approve move to approve the
Wait
application as
just a minute.
submitted. Oh.
does the agent have anything else he'd like to say?
I have nothing further to add.
Okay, Mr. Knoll, come forward. Go ahead.
I would just like to understand, from mean low water to mean high water times 1.5,
Yes.
on a slope of the current ramp, that's probably 10 feet of water.
He has perfectly advertised everything about the ramp that he plans to put there. And
That's right.
that's what we have to go by.
I understand.
We can't take something that's not,
Understand.
this is paper, this is legal.
Fro-
There's the agent right there. I'm asking her, does she, am I correct in what I'm saying? Below mean low water is state bottom, and it's y'all's jurisdiction.
Yes, ma'am. Anything below mean low water, VMRC will need to permit, including this project.
My question was, from mean low water to mean high water on a ramp at that point is probably 10 feet, okay, as the tide goes out, because,
Whatever amount of feet that's
Okay, well-
in our jurisdiction is all we can approve.
my point is, at that length, when it drops to 8 feet, you're approving 65, 60 feet.
It's not,
No, we're
no,
not
we're
approving.
not. We're approving from mean low
For
water.
for the portion that's 10 feet.
Yes.
Okay, you're gonna approve 8 foot deep out from mean low to mean high, times 1.5. Yes, sir, that's just what you said.
I don't feel, Mr. Knoll, that this is going to affect,
Okay,
Anyway.
I reserve the right to appeal this. Thank you.
Mr. Gill, do you have anything?
No, county has no further comment. I mean, if you all choose to approve the
Our
portion.
part of it only.
Yeah,
And
within
whoever
your
makes that
jurisdiction.
motion, put that in there. The Wetland Board is only approving their jurisdiction part of this project.
Yeah, I think a potential motion may be that, to approve the
And anyone else in the audience? Well, it's up to the board. I'll entertain a motion.
Okay, I'll move to approve the project as submitted within the portion that falls within the jurisdiction of the Wetlands Board.
Okay, is there a second? Second. All in favor, signify by raising your right hand. Okay, thank you. And that's the only thing we, far as anything else, we can't rule on it one way or the other. Okay. Let me see the picture. Oh, the consensus, the activity report. Do I hear a motion to approve that?
Make a motion to approve the activity report.
Okay,
I'll second.
okay. Everybody on board with it? Okay,
Madam Chairman, if I might just add, this summary report is basically for the benefit of the Board of Supervisors to
Okay.
see the activity that the
Okay.
Wetlands Board has approved during calendar year 2024.
okay. Some of you were not on the board at the last meeting, but the minutes, we need to approve the minutes from last, the minutes from the last meeting here they are. Okay? Y'all all read the minutes, and Crystal, I'm sure that if anybody can get them accurate, I think she can. I wouldn't question. So do I hear approval of the minutes?
I move to approve the minutes as submitted.
Okay. Minutes were approved. Where's that other agenda that I just had my hands on? Well, where it is. Is there any further business that we need to take care of?
Did you vote on approving the minutes?
Yeah, we did,
Okay.
5-0. Is there anything anyone else has to say or would like to say? Well, if not, I will adjourn the meeting at 10:37 a.m. Thank you all for coming.